Alright, in this video I'm going to just continue where I left off with the creating the composite image. And again, I'm eventually trying to get something like this. So in the last video I just did a quick selection of this figure of the skater, create a layer mask, and if you notice in the layers, the layer mask is showing up over here in this black and white. So the thing about a layer mask, anything that's black is going to be concealed. It's hiding this image back here, or the background of the image, and the white is revealing the skater. So that's basically the way a layer mask works. Now, you can work directly on a layer mask, and I'll show you that in a little while. But just realize that when you have a layer selected, it is possible to select the layer or the image itself. So that's very important to kind of pay attention to that as you progress with your work with layers and layer masks. Once you click on that, either the image or the layer mask, you'll see this black highlight around it, which is indicating that that portion is selected. All right, I am going to make a copy of this layer, Control J. And what I want to do, I want to get rid of the layer mask. All I want is an image of this skateboarder without any background so that I can move that image into one of the other images in the sequence. So if you click on the layer mask and you click the trash can, you'll get this little window popping up saying, hey, apply mask layer before removing. And you have some choices. You can delete it without applying the layer mask, but I want to apply that. So I'm going to click apply, and basically got rid of the mask, so I only have the image of the skateboarder. Now the idea is I want to bring that image into this one to kind of create that composite effect. So I switch back to the image there. It's probably a good idea when you're working on this, have all your related images open in separate windows on Photoshop. And basically what you do is switch to the Move tool, and then you can just click and drag this image. I'm going to bring it up to this other file, hover the mouse over that image. Once that image or that file pops open, I can bring this down, and you can see the little plus sign right there, and I'm just going to release. All right. From here, I can continue to drag that image by clicking and dragging, or I can use the arrow tools to fine tune it. And that looks pretty good. Maybe over just a little bit more. Now, there's some weird stuff happening with this portion. I want to create some overlapping here on this image. I want this arm to look like it's going behind, then I want this arm to kind of come in front. So I want to create the effect that the skater in the air is in front of this skater as he's kind of beginning the sequence. So from here, it's what I want to do is maybe make a copy of this layer. So Control J will duplicate that layer. You could come up to layer, and let's see, you can duplicate that layer. That'll do the same thing. All right. But Control J is just a shortcut. If I want to back up, Control Z will work one time. If I press Control Z again, by the way, it'll redo. So this is different than in Illustrator. Control Z only works once. If you want to go back more than one spot or more than one step, you have to hold the Alt button. And if you want to go forward, it's Shift Control Z. All right, so anyhow, Control Z to back up or to redo, and then Control Alt Z to go back more than one step, Shift Control Z to go forward. All right, so as far as continuing on here, so previously I showed you how to make a selection or create a layer mask from a selection. In this case, I just want to mask out part of the this skater here. So I'm going to go to this layer and create a layer mask. So the layer mask is by default white, so it's pretty much showing everything. So what I want to do is switch to my brush tool. Let's see, right there. The shortcut is B. And in Photoshop, instead of stroke and fill, they have a foreground color and a background color. And by default, that's in black and white, which is what I want to use when I'm using masking or doing masking. So essentially what I want to do is hide this part of the arm. So I have black as my foreground color. It's pop forward. Um, so I know that I'm going to be painting with black. So I want to make sure I'm on the layer mask. And basically what you do, and I'm going to increase the size of this. Not that quite that much, maybe about 30 pixels. Now, I just want to show you the difference between 100% hardness and 0 hardness. If I paint over this, you can see it punches a solid kind of circular image right out of that, which is pretty good. That's kind of what I want for now, just to kind of give me a nice clean edge. Now, if I soften this edge, if I bring the hardness down in contrast, and I do that, you can see it's more of like kind of gives more of a faded kind of look. You know, it softens up that edge. Now, you might be thinking, well, hey, I'm painting over this. I'm screwing this up. I don't want that arm to be totally obliterated. I don't want to accidentally take off part of his face. So it's not really a mistake. It's just a different way to work here with masks. So if you paint too much, luckily with a mask, you can totally kind of go back and forth. So if I'm brushing all this away and hiding it, I can alternate that. If I took away too much, I can switch this back and toggle that little corner button here and switch from white or from black to white. Now, if I'm still on the mask, I can paint white over top to reveal that background. So when you're working on a mask, not only can you create a mask with the selection tool, you can also paint on a mask. And here I'm kind of making a mistake, so I'm going to switch back to black to reveal this arm. Let's see, we'll have to do probably a little bit more work with black here as well. Let's see, hide some of the hand here on this edge. I want to just get a nice, all the detail in that hand, and then we'll zoom in a little bit and get a little closer. So the nice thing about working on a mask, it's totally editable. It's not a destructive mode of working. Now, if I'm on my photo, here's a common mistake. If I'm on black and I start painting black here, well, I'm painting black pixels on this image. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to Control Z to back up. When you're painting with a mask or using a brush to paint on a mask, you have to make sure you're on the mask. The mask should be selected. All right, so let's go ahead and switch to white. And the shortcut here is just pressing the X key. Rather than coming over and switching these constantly, you can just press the X key as well. And we'll just paint back over with white to make the skater's shirt become revealed again. And we'll get it close here. I'm going to probably want to zoom in a little bit more closely on this image. And we probably ought to make the brush a little bit smaller. To kind of get in here and just finish off that. All right, so you kind of get the basic idea here, how to paint on a mask using black or white. Pressing X to toggle back and forth. Get a little more of that finger showing. Maybe even right in here. Kind of get that little bit of gray shining through on the t-shirt. Just get as close as you can here. So just kind of cleaning that up, working directly on the mask. Trying to get rid of that halo effect. So overall, that's looking pretty good. Not perfect, but I think that's pretty good place. So I'm back up a little bit. I need to get a little closer to the arm here in that area, but I've made pretty good progress showing those first two steps in the sequence. In the next video, we'll just finish up by showing how to get that last selection added to the sequence.